Welcome to episode 3 of Mitts Off. We are super pumped to share this interview with you. Jordan Binnington, St. Louis Blues goaltender, stopped by the studio. You might think you know Jordan, but this interview might change your mind a little bit. Mitts Off is powered by Sports Interaction, our exclusive betting partner. Get in the action all summer long. Download the app to play. 19 plus, and please play responsibly. Welcome to Mitts Off, episode 3. I am pumped to have one of my old friends, St. Louis Blues starting goaltender, 2019 Stanley Cup champion. We're good friends, yeah? You would say that?
Yeah.
Jordan Binnington is in the house tonight. How you doing today, buddy?
Doing well.
It's a pleasure to have you here, man. This kind of plan and project that we talked about, you were another guy that was right up there for me. We trained together for a couple summers. I loved the way you carried yourself on a day-to-day basis. I thought, the work ethic and just kind of the direction that you were in all the time was something that I watched from afar. And I picked up a lot of things from watching the way you work and prepare in the summer. And that was me being an older guy. And I remember I used to come in at 11:30 and work out with you guys sometimes. And then I got to spend a year in sports media. And I think the sports media view of you is maybe a little different than that. Do you think you're a little misunderstood? Do you think that's a word that could characterize that?
Possibly, yeah. But I'm not too worried about it. It's something that I'm aware of, and it's kind of the way I conduct myself, and create some enemies, I guess, along the way. But that's totally fine. I'm fine with just focusing on myself and the close people around me who know kind of who the true JB is,
Yeah, I'm sure some of those guys are on your team, on the Blues, right? And this year for you, maybe a bit of a, what would you call it, transition year, kind of a rebuilding on the fly. But on a personal note, you started 61 games this year. Congrats on that. That's unreal. Career high. I know you had the contract that you signed a couple of years ago, big, nice 6x6 ticket, which will help you feel a little bit better. But as hockey players, I think we've learned that we can't be complacent, right? Things can change anytime in an instant, and you always have to be on your game. But after kind of being in the driver's seat this year, did you feel like you kind of like you've made it? Was that a good feeling this year?
Yeah, I feel every year is kind of a new experience, a new journey, and now I'm X amount of years in, and just had that starting role, and got a lot of ice time and a lot of experience, and obviously some challenges. It was very tough. As a starting goalie, you want your team to be for sure playoff bound. And that's something that, I took pretty hard early on, midway, all the way through really. And then once you're out of the playoffs, it's frustrating and it sucks, to be honest. It's somewhere we definitely do not want to be. We want to be, in the playoffs competing. That just looks like the most fun to play, and it really is. And yeah, so just another year of experience, and I'm grateful for the ice time and the lessons learned, the new leadership roles, and you learn a lot through when you're struggling, just through the team meetings, the closed door meetings, and meeting with staff, and just like I said, a lot of experience. So moving forward, hopefully we can bring that with us and make the most of it.
People probably don't know about the time that you had to put in and the grind and the effort and the years that you put in battling to get to pretty much where we're sitting right now, right? There's a lot that went into Jordan Binnington's career. I want to go all the way back to the East Coast. First year, Kalamazoo, I think it was 13, 14. And I think one thing that the majority of the viewer or listener doesn't know about goalie prospects maybe is it's not out of the norm for them to start in the ECHL. Like in Dallas, we drafted Jack Campbell, 15th overall. They have 3 or 4 goalie prospects already. So it's just, everyone kind of gets bumped down, right? Jackie ended up in Idaho. Tell us about the jungle and kind of your first experience of that and just taking that all in.
Yeah. First year pro, living on my own, just in the US.
You were I thought they put you in like a commune in these like apartments. I
actually had a 2-bedroom spot, but only the other room was just guys who got called up or sent down. Yeah. And so I had a couple throughout, and no dishwasher, which is, whatever, but I'm 20 years old, right? So plates are stacking up and you're trying to keep up with everything. But the jungle is a great way to, it's just a perfect name for it. You see some stuff there, and you meet some characters, you meet some guys who are talented, and you're kind of like, why are these guys not at a higher level? And then you could see some little things that happen that maybe come to light. And then some people had some tough goes, and you didn't get the breaks or the opportunities. And then I played with on that team was actually Yanni Gord, who had no AHL NHL deal. And then I watch this guy every day. I'm like, this guy's a great player. He plays every position for us. He can do it all. He works hard. He's writing down like notes on the bus about where his game's at and stuff, and in life. And I mean, I think it was in French, so I'm just assuming that. But just a great leader. And then he ended up signing a deal, and then getting an entry level deal. And then you look at him now, he won 2 cups, and so you got guys like that too, where I definitely cherish my time in the East Coast League.
You have a little bit of smirk about it, so you must have liked something about it.
It's fun. It's fun. The bus rides, like we had the rookies, it's a 20-hour bus ride, and it's on like a tractor trailer with bunk beds.
Yeah, the sleeper, right?
The sleeper. And
for those of you who don't know about a sleeper bus, so the OG like Greyhound bus with 2 seats on the side. This is like you knock the whole thing out, and there's beds stacked, 3 high?
3 high on each side, yeah.
And you shove 25 players and an entire coaching staff into these buses.
Yeah.
They're an absolute sweatbox, and you're doing 20-hour road trips on them.
Yeah, I don't even know how many hours, but and in the back there's the hangout area, the lounge, where there's like a U couch, and then there's 2 bunk beds on either side. So we had, I think, 6 rookies at one point. So there's 2 beds, and then a couch, and then the floor. So it's just like pick your spot, and go from there. And then when the veterans are not sleeping, they want to be playing cards or whatever. So we're just playing cards, and we're not sleeping.
Were you one of those guys hanging out with the vets in your rookie year?
Maybe a little bit. I had my goalie partner was Joel Martin, who is so cool. He's I think 10 years older than me, but just learned so much from him so fast, and he's been around for a while. And I enjoy getting to know people and hearing their story or their outlooks. And there's a couple miserable rides if you're going out and then you're on that bus. And it's,
imagine.
And at that age too, where you're not really sure your tolerance, if you can overdo it and then you're on that bus, it's a little, it's a battle, but it makes you stronger,
For sure. You said you met some interesting characters. I remember I signed from Erie. I signed with Dallas, but they sent me to Boise for their playoff run. So I got there, and sitting beside me in the dressing room was a guy by the name of Daryl Hay. He'd been in the league for years, and he just told me not to stay here for too long. And I had no idea what he was talking about. He said ECHL is easy come, hard to leave. And so he said, it's the easiest league to get into. Anyone can play here. You can get in good shape, get sent down, called up from whatever league. But he said, if you stay here for too long, you kind of get labeled as an East Coast guy. And that's kind of your MO. Did you have that in your mind at the same time where you're like, this is cool, I'm getting games, I'm getting experience, but I also need to get out of here. Like I need to get moving up?
Yeah, a little bit. I don't know. It was kind of weird. I feel like the development with the Blues wasn't what it is today. I think I was a little bit not on my own. I did have a goalie coach who'd come down and say what's up and stuff, but I didn't really have they didn't have a plan for me. And St. Louis was so good at the time for consecutive years that there really was no room in the show for years to come, because they were battling to win the cup every year.
Yeah.
And then they had Jake Allen in the minors. So, a little bit. I think the most part was I wanted to be with my buddies, Joel Edmondson, Ty Ratty, who were in my draft class, who were in the AHL. And I was like, I want to be with my boys, and
because you spend a lot of time with those guys you get drafted with and come up. For me, it was like Colton Sevier, Jamie Benn. Like you spent a lot of time with those guys, right?
Yeah. So it was that, and obviously the hockey aspect of it. I was like, this is fun, but I probably should get out of here.
What happens at camp when you go back? And I've heard about this kind of refusal to go back to the coast. And when I first heard the story about them like wanting to send you to Tulsa or whatever, I thought it was funny, but then I kind of thought about it. And Binner, one of the things I love about you is like, I just feel like you're a guy who just doesn't take no for an answer. And it's like, that kind of sounds comedic in this sense that you're not going down, but just in like hockey and life, that you were trying to achieve and expect greatness. And like, you weren't striving, you weren't taking no for an answer. Like, what happens when they come to you and say like, well, like what happened? They want to send you down and you're just like, I'm not going.
Yeah. I think I got to track back a little bit further, because there was, after that second year in the AHL, I played 2 more years in the AHL. And in those years, after the first 2 pretty solid years, I was kind of lost my way a little bit, and I didn't really know what I was working towards. I was just doing enough to get by. And then I realized I put myself in a tough situation by doing that, And
what do you mean there? You just kind of lost track of like your kind of routine, or did you just kind of start going through the motions?
Yeah, I'm a guy who I feel like I need to see what I'm working towards. I need to know what I'm going towards, and then I can find a way to get there. And I felt like I was in the minors, and I was like, okay, I did the East Coast, I did the AHL. Now I guess I'm going to do another year in the AHL. There's no room above. There's no real communication on me going there to make the team, So I kind of just, I don't know. I didn't have you talk about how when we first met, or when we were getting after it, when I went to Maddie's, I was living clean and putting in the time and stuff like that. And I got to that point, but I wasn't like that before, Yeah. And I had to learn that. But I remember I think it was after that second good year, I went to the Blues training camp, and like their fitness testing was all like muscle. It was like minimum 220 bench press. And I'm like, okay, man, I'm getting 0. But
you just walk up there, you're like, just
like,
big 0.
And it was like such aggressive, heavyweight single reps. So it wasn't for me. And then they would like post the scores on like a sheet, right?
I hated that outside the locker room, eh?
Dude, I'm always last place. I'm like, okay, I'm never going to succeed in this fitness testing, but I'm always giving it my all. And then one year I remember I did, it was like push-up, it was like max push-ups on the beep.
To the metronome, yeah.
Yeah. And I was, crushing push-ups all summer in preparation for this. I go there and I rip out like I'm at like 40 push-ups. And then, when your arms are shaking and you're done. And then all of a sudden I was like, I'm done. I can't do it. And then like something kicked on in my brain that it was the first time I felt it in a long time. And it kind of reignited me. But like, I was like, I just all of a sudden couldn't feel anything. And I ripped out like 12 more push-ups, let's say. And then I like stand up and I'm like, holy smokes, like what just happened? I just gave that my all. I go in the mirror, both my eyes, like blood vessels, like my eyes are red.
Have popped.
Yeah. And then I go and then literally probably get sent down like a day later. And I'm just like,
so you had all that adrenaline.
I'm giving it
all.
Yeah. But that was the first time I felt that, where you push through that threshold in your mind, which kind of you can carry with you and makes you stronger in situations that matter, which was big for me. But at the same time, I was like, I'm going there, I'm giving it my all, and they're not even like giving me a look, So then I built up this call it mindset or attitude, where I was like, all right, well, fuck you then. Like,
There's a little chip on your shoulder?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. But this is for me, right? And then going to your, what you just talked about, where I said no to going down to the East Coast, I could say that because I felt that I knew I was better and I was ready and I can back it up. But that came from all the, the process of confidence, from preparation, right? From feeling able to back that up. And that's how I was able to do that,
Well, I mean, if there's anyone that knows what you mean, it's me. I think I ended up going 257 games in the A before I got called up to the NHL. I even went back to after my 4th year of training camp. And buddy, I scored in the last game versus Edmonton. I was like, this is a done deal. I'm gonna make the NHL. Like all this time and effort. And I remember going into the office with Jim Nill and And he was just like, we still don't think you're ready. And I just looked him in the eyes and I was like, what do you want me to do? Like, what else can I do here?
Good for you. Yeah.
I've been here for 4 years. I've fought everybody in pro hockey. I just scored last night in an NHL exhibition game, and you're going to send me down again?
Yeah.
And he just said, I don't think you're ready. And man, I wish I had the stones like you. I just like, I'm not going.
Well, that got to a certain point. That's where I was, years before I would just take it. Like you said, I would have like a good third, they'd play me up 1/3 period in the end of preseason. And I had like an unbelievable period. And then right after the game, coach's office, you're out of here. And then the year we won the cup, I think I only had a third period in preseason, like that in that training camp. Like they were already past me, moved on. And so like I remember after that last preseason game, that year I put my Blues jersey down. After the game you put your jersey in the middle on the
laundry pile.
Laundry pile. And I put it down and I was like, I think that's the last time I ever wear this jersey. And I like set it down.
In your head?
Talking that, to my head. Obviously that didn't happen.
You kind of had an emotional, I would say, interview with Darren Pang after your first win. And you literally say, there were some dark days. Like you make reference to that. So it's obviously in your mind and you've overcome a lot from it. But when you say dark days, do you go right back to that, kind of time in the minors where it's just unsure? Is that kind of where you go back to when you say things like that?
A little bit. Yeah. I think, there's nights where you're in the minors and things aren't going well and you just don't see, like I said, you don't know where you're headed and there's so much uncertainty and, you're on your own and you come to a point where I consider to be a fairly high draft pick and you're like, what am I doing here? And then you have realizations, that of how much effort your parents have done and people in your lives and mentors have given to you and to help you succeed and how much you've pushed through and worked through already to get to where you're at. And I don't think I was making the most of it. Talking about those dark days is I spent a lot of time downtown Toronto and it's stuff that, partying and stuff. And it was fun, but I realized it wasn't fulfilling. And it took me a couple of years to understand that, but I did. And it's scary, when you don't think clearly when you're partying all the time and you're just chasing it, So now, yeah.
Yeah. I think you're so bang on with the communication because you grow up fast in the minors in terms of you're just not hearing anything from up top, right? Like you go stretches at a time where like, yeah, the brass will come down, scouts, GMs, they come to see you. They don't talk to you. You don't know if are they liking the way you play? Are they happy with you? Like, can I do anything different? Like I'm calling my agent. I'm not ready to maybe say them on camera yet, but I'm calling my agent and can't even get a call back. There's just no communication and you're there on your own. Yeah. And that's where I got dark was like, am I even doing like the right things? Like, do they want something different from me? And I was just so intimidated as a young guy that I think you're just so bang on about that, about the Blues, how, if there's no communication, you have a really tough time seeing the big, the master plan.
And I will say they're like a lot of organizations, they've come a long way. And I think it's in a very good spot and it wasn't terrible for me. And I have to obviously also take accountability and as a professional, we do have to grow up fast and we do have to be disciplined. If you want to be at your best, there's stuff we have to learn quick, but, and there's no excuse. It's on me and I had the resources to be better and, and even be better for St. Louis, the people who drafted me and, the scouts and stuff like that. So it's all part of it. And then I just got to a point where I felt like I could demand it a little bit and, and do my best. Right. And
so you ended up in Providence after that incident.
I just enjoyed, I just took it on. Right. But I also had a little extra time for myself where, on a Tuesday night, I would go for a solo dinner, sit at a bar top, have a little glass of red, see what's going on and go from there. I did a lot of cooking at my place and I had a it was interesting. They didn't really want to commit me to getting a full place for the whole year. They couldn't promise me that. But I just reached a point in my life where I was like, I need to be comfortable to be at my best. And I just bought a I rented a long-term lease, and it worked out great. It was a great facility. I had a great gym. There was a pool, hot tub there, and I just made the most of the amenities in my time. And at that point, I started reading books, and it was just a great kind of spiritual connecting year in my life, and the hockey went well, and it was just a great experience.
We got to talk about you scrapping a little bit here. Why don't we turn the clock back? So you're in Providence, and I think it was your second fight all time now, but it was the first one that I saw where you like spun the bucket, squared off. It was Phoenix Copley, and he was your goalie partner the year before. You talked about flipping a switch, kind of. Was that around the same time? Was that something that kind of flipped in you, and maybe that was a bit of a game changer, that scrap? Like, walk me through this.
That was, I knew I wanted to make a little noise. And with the way this season was going in Providence, I had good numbers and I was playing well. But I think doing a little extra sometimes at that point in my career gets your name out even more, and that's what people are talking about. When I get called up after that, that's what the coaches are talking to me about. They notice something, they notice that, and then if you're playing well to go with it, it's kind of a double whammy there. But for that situation, I was called up to St. Louis for the weekend, and then I got sent back down, and I met the team in Hershey, and we were up 4-0, and one of their guys just completely blew up one of our rookies, and there was a delayed penalty. And during the delayed penalty, you skate to the bench, and I was skating to the bench. And then I always, I like to take a long swing back to the net, just to see what's going on. And
just to check the waters, eh?
It was 4-0. It was a sold out barn. I think it was like alumni night in Hershey. And I ended up just, circling back, and then Cops, Phoenix was the other goalie, and he kind of asked me to go, and then I kind of turned back and I was like, "Do you want to go?" And he's like, "Come on, man." He said, "Come on, the fans will love it." So I said, "Well, all right then, like we got to go." And then I always had my preparation down. I wanted to spin the bucket. I threw my blocker 20 feet in the air, just for the style of it, and then
that helmet spun like a dreidel, buddy.
Yeah, it was a good spin. But it's tough. It's weird. I mean, you could speak on that more, just fighting a buddy. And, I don't have that much fighting experience. I'm kind of just going for it. But it was big for me to get that one out of the way. And then, like I said, people up top noticed that. And I was just up there. So it was fresh.
That was positive review from that?
Oh,
from
yeah.
Stuff like that?
Well, yeah.
I would think so. Like, I loved it. It shows a whole lot more than most goalies.
It's funny. Some people liked it. My dad did not like that one. I remember I got a text from him, and I was sitting after we got kicked out of the game, me and Copley went back to this media room, and we were just sitting watching the rest of the game together. And I had my phone.
After you guys scrapped?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
My dad texted me. He's like, you had a shutout going, he's just results and performance playing, working your way through it to the top. And I was like, I understand, but this is what I see, kind of thing. And like I said, I wanted to make some noise at that time, and so it was okay. It's just with your buddy, right? So it's a little different, and we always have that memory. We have a couple cool pictures from it, and we ended up winning the game. So,
were you inspired by anyone? Like, I remember one of the first YouTube videos I ever watched on repeat was like Felix Potvin and Ron Hextall going toe to toe, and like seeing all these old Billy Smith videos. Like, was there some sort of inspiration, or was it just like you just said, I just wanted to make some noise?
No, I have a couple buddies and former teammates like Garrett Wilson, Cam Brace, my roommates, and we would always watch those videos, and we'd think it's crazy watching when a Hextall would snap, and I definitely have watched a lot of those videos and have been inspired by them. I like the aspect of competing and having fire, and you're playing for something, and you hate to lose, and that's my mindset. That's how I kind of go through my career. And so definitely.
I mean, present day now, it happened a couple times this year. Like I was working on the desk when the Hartman incident happened. And so I watched his back a couple days ago, and dude, like he skates right through your crease right after he scores the goal. And like for me, I knew, especially playing in the American League, there were just certain goalies that I didn't mess with. And I thought I was pretty tough guy. Like I could probably take most guys, but like there were some goalies that I knew if I came close, I was getting it. Like back of the leg, small of the back. Like if there's a whistle, like he's going to be in my ear. And like Hartman just scores and just kind of glides right through your crease. And then I watched a couple more, and a couple of these guys are getting into your space. Was that what kind of is that the stuff that sets you off?
No, it's not. It's not, people get a little misunderstood with that. They think, I'm just a snap show, but I'm a situational guy. If we're winning, you could run me through the net and I probably won't do anything, that one in particular, like he's a guy, there are guys who, play the game a certain way.
Yeah.
I actually like the way he plays the game. He gets in the dirty areas, but he'll try and sell a call every once in a while, and he'll chirp, he'll get a little whack in when the ref's not looking, and that's fine. I like players like that, like I said, and that one we go at it since the minors, him and I, in subtle ways. And that game, we were up 3-1 or something, and then they came back and they were up like 5-4, and we were out of the playoffs already, and I was just like, fuck it.
I mean, that has something to do with it too, right? Like if you're in the playoffs or in a wild card spot, maybe you're not reacting that way.
No, I'm conscious of what's going on.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Sometimes.
And he knew what he was doing. Like,
oh yeah,
he knows what he's doing. So I was just like, perfect time.
I love that. They make him look like a saint, eh? They're like, I'm like, God.
That's what I was saying on the call. I'm like, come on, guys. Like, you know who this guy is. Obviously you don't, but and then I went over there, and it was what happened. And I mean, do I think I deserve 2 games for it? Probably not. You see a lot worse things, guys getting cross-checked, 17 stitches. I hit this guy one time. He was completely fine.
Yeah.
2 games. But it's a learning experience and something I don't really care to do all the time. But
did you want to go at Flower? I heard from a little birdie, you guys have like the same athletic or some sort of therapist. You don't have to say obviously private. That person's name is private, but I heard that Flower has a bucket list thing, or had a bucket list thing, of wanting to have a scrap. Maybe you caught wind of that. Is there a little background you can share?
Yeah, we do have a mutual friend, and there were some words exchanged. But yeah, the story would go, a few years back, I watched a video. This was maybe when I first was called up, or even before. I saw a video where he said, sarcastically or not, the one last thing he'd want to do is get in a goalie fight. And he's a guy I've admired my whole later goalie career, from when he made the NHL or World Juniors. And so I saw that video, and I'm willing to get in a scrap. And he's a legendary goalie, so it felt like that was the moment. And it didn't go down, but I
the refs just got in the way, right?
Yeah, because I actually asked him the game before to go in the third period.
Like during a TV timeout or something?
It was like a couple minutes left in the third, and he hit one of our guys because they were around his crease or something. So then I was at center ice. And then it was funny because Reeves is going crazy on the bench.
Oh, yeah.
He's just a great teammate. He's just like gonna step in for his goalie, and So fast forward, we have our mutual friend. He kind of told him to tell me, as far as I know, he told him to tell me he appreciates the offer. If the opportunity arises again, he's down. So.
And that was before that game.
Before that game.
We're
so
talking perfect timing then.
Well, the game goes how it goes, and I create the situation.
Yeah.
and he doesn't hesitate. He's down there ready to go. And, like I said, it felt like that was the moment, but.
So they didn't let you go there. I mean, obviously you're biased, you're a goaltender, but do you think that goalie fights should be allowed? Like in a situation like right there, like, do you think the refs, linesmen should just back off and just kind of like any other scrap, just let you guys go?
Yeah. I don't know if you can square up off the draw kind of thing, but when it's just a free for all, I mean, obviously the refs, linesmen are told not to let it go down, which is, you can respect that. You got to kind of sneak away and get into it or something, but it is what it is, that I tell you what, that our rink was really loud. It was the loudest it's been all season, in my opinion. And that's that. But obviously not an every game occurrence, but the odd time something like that happens, it's up to the guys if they want to go, I guess. And or if it can happen with the refs, but whatever, man, it's all different. And if it happens, it happens. It doesn't, it's whatever.
Yeah.
Just keep moving.
I mean, I think things came to a blow with the Zucker one. And don't get me started on Zucker too. This guy used to play in Houston back in the day. What an absolute fraud he is. He used to dive all over the ice. Honestly, I used to waste and expel so much energy. Is that the word I'm trying to look for? On just yelling at this kid the whole game. He was an absolute nightmare. I thought he dived in the one for you too. Is that how you maybe saw it? Like,
yeah, I definitely saw it that way. That's my perspective.
Yeah.
And as a guy who, I would say I respect the game the way I play, and I play hard, and you're a competitor, and I don't respect that. But he's you can't knock. He's a great player, and
yeah, true.
That's just how that situation went. And then I let him know when I was getting pulled off the ice, and
that's the best.
Yeah, just keep on moving.
Exactly. I mean, I know Chief has a little bit to say about that after that one. I think that was the one where he finally said, Binner's just got to worry about stopping the puck or whatever. And I know he's doing what he's doing. I don't even know if he framed it that way, but I didn't love it. I thought maybe he should talk to you about that behind closed doors. He kind of talked about what he wanted from you, but through the lens of the media. Like, did you guys have, or you can tell me, or you don't, whatever. Did you guys have a conversation about like, hey, like, we love the aggression, but like, maybe let's just dial it back a little bit here?
Yeah, we've talked about it. And I truthfully, I don't mind it. I enjoy being coached and, coached hard, and I want them to get the best out of me and me get the best out of them. And I really don't mind it. I love Chief as a coach, and, yeah, I understand. And I think it's a little different if your team, it's situational, if your team's winning or if you're struggling. And at that point, and in this season, we struggled a lot. So I think things can be kind of under a microscope a little bit more, and that's fine. I'm willing. I understand that. And I'm a competitive guy. I'm a competitive player, and that's in my nature. And, just to get something, try to create some energy, or, I obviously take out my anger. It's not necessarily about guys bumping into me or anything, because it's not that. It's just on situations and sometimes. But I am methodical, and I do think about it. So,
man, you're taking the words out of my mouth. It's situational is the perfect way to put it, because I did the same thing as quote unquote enforcer. Like, you got to look at the score in the game. You got to look at the clock. You got to look at where you are in the season and who you're playing against. Like, so many factors go into it, but at the end of the day, it's a competition. And at the end of the day, it's, what did you call it you called it a bit an entertainment business, I think, something like that.
Sometimes,
and
yeah.
Sometimes it can be,
it's
right?
An entertainment business, yeah. But at the same time, I understand. I learned a lot this season from doing that stuff, from putting myself in tough situations and having to, deal with the media or the people coming at me, and I can process that, and then I can create a plan that's best for me and our team or an organization, in my perspective, moving forward. And I understand there's a time and a place, and when you do that stuff, it adds added pressure to you and distracts you, and takes away from your mental focus. And I think for me, is a lot of how I go about life and things is having clarity and focus, and that, to make it easier on myself, I think the odd time I can bite the bullet and, just find a way to win or stick with it till the end and then get back out there the next game. And that's all part of the learning experience. And I'm so grateful to have these opportunities to really experience that and to grow and evolve,
Yeah. And I think part of that evolution, you mentioned it, is with Chief, right? Like you had Berube in the minors, right?
Yeah.
Coached you in the minors. 2019, Mike Yeo gets fired. Any comment on that? I didn't know him too much.
Not many words shared with him and I.
We'll leave it at that.
Not in a bad way. I'm just saying, like, yeah.
But Chief comes in, takes over. Apparently, you guys hear Gloria and Philly. Rest is history, right? But the angle that I see this is opportunity and seizing opportunity, and I can imagine that from that point, you guys were in last place. You got in the driver's seat. You guys ended the year 30-10, mixed in an 11-game win streak in there. I remember when I got picked up, I talked about that, going from Dallas to Edmonton. Like, I knew when I was on waivers, when I got picked up on waivers, that I had 30 days when I went to Edmonton. And like, I didn't have to be told that. But I think hockey these days and hockey prospects, kids don't know opportunity if it's sitting in front of their faces, right? They just might think it's another day, it's another game, it's another shift. But talk about seizing that opportunity and going along for the ride. That must have been amazing when you just started feeling comfortable and you guys started winning and started feeling confident and good in yourselves. Talk about kind of that playoff stretch.
Yeah, it's interesting. It took a while to reflect on the whole year. It was like a couple of years of remembering certain things and certain experiences. I feel like it was such a time where I was so focused, and that was when things were coming together for me as an individual and our team. And I was, just called up as a team, so I wasn't there the whole year. And I was just winning, doing my best to win every game. That was my focus, is just win hockey games, give the team a chance to win. And it was going well. So it was very enjoyable, and everything's better when you're winning, right? And just, we had a very fun group. So we would have some fun on the road and stuff like that. And, especially in the playoffs, the hangouts after a game when you're staying in the hotel on the road and just, playing cards or whatever you're doing. It was such a special time. And for me, I don't know if I got to really enjoy it, because I had to be so on point in my mind.
Yeah.
And, it was a special time. And I had to be, I remember at a certain point, someone reminded me, they were just like, hey, this is one of the best times in your life. You got to enjoy it and, relax a little bit. But it was such a focused mindset. And, I had great talks with mentors throughout, and just the keep going chats and stuff like that. And I do think we were able to enjoy it. And I know our team had a blast, and we have memories forever. And our group chat was actually firing because it was 5 years, or 4 years anniversary. And we're talking about doing something next year as a reunion and kind of anniversary. And I think, you can't buy that. You have to earn that. And that's something that we're all so proud of. And just the guys just putting their life on the line, or they're everything on the line every game, and it was such a special group and journey that season.
You talked about being so dialed in, mentally, that you had a hard time taking in the whole experience. There was a clip of Berube doing his pregame speech, but right towards the end, and I think it was Game 7, conference finals. You don't have your helmet on or anything. You're in the dressing room, and I'm guessing there's like 4 on the clock. You are looking directly ahead, and I have never been so pumped up in my life. Like, if I looked over and that was my starting goalie and I saw that, I'm like, let's go. Like, it's time. Can you give me an insight on, are you thinking about anything in particular in that moment? Are you listening to Chief's words? Are you visualizing something? Like those last 2 minutes before you go helmet down through the tunnel and on the ice, like what's going through your dome there?
I can tell you that I don't. So I got asked about that Chiefs speech before Game 7.
You know what I'm talking about too, yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't even remember it. I said an answer, and then later on I saw the actual speech, and I don't even remember it. So I don't know where I go, but it's a mindset thing for me where it depends how I'm feeling. You know, sometimes you're just feeling good. Sometimes you want to feel a little crazy. Sometimes, you know, you want to feel some kind of way. You know, it's funny. Sometimes I'm out there in warm-ups and people are banging on the glass, and like in Vegas, for example, there's girls dancing in their bikinis or whatever. And I just feel like a zoo animal, you know, I'm like out there warming up, but, and I'm down to be a lion, you know? So, whatever you're feeling on the game, it changes, and I want to be able to adapt. So it's fun. It's kind of a fun, you get into character and whatever brings the best out of you on that day.
You're the first guy I've kind of asked this. The countdown starts going, you know, in the last game. So you're going to win here. It's going 3, 2, 1. Are you reflecting in that moment? Like you start to throw the blocker and the glove off, but as that kind of countdown happened and you're like, wow, I'm going to win a Stanley Cup. Like, this is crazy. Are you thinking about people that got you there? Is this a culmination of kind of everything from all the way to from Owen Sound to Kalamazoo? Are you just like, is this kind of a culmination of everything that you worked at and that you were finally achieved?
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, like I can remember probably 2 minutes left when we had a good lead, and then they scored with like a minute and a half left, but I could tell I already lost my focus a bit because I was thinking about,
interesting.
You know, but the game at that point was probably over, you know, unless we were up 4-0 or something. And then I got to take it in, and it's just a rush of just like proud and like you said, people in your lives and people who are probably so happy watching that have had an impact on your life, and just family. And yeah, it's definitely special. It's like a goosebumps thing to talk about. I've never really had that exact question, and then it got to a point where I was just like, get this fucking equipment off.
Get me out of here.
So I remember I threw my stick and I was just like, kind of like, job done. And I was like, that was the hardest thing I've ever done. Because the playoffs is so, you got to stay on top of yourself for an extra 20 whatever games, all the way till the end. It's like survival of the fittest. In my mind, you got to be a warrior. And that's how I approached it. And you were exhausted.
Yeah.
But until that point, you feel you're full of energy. And then, you know, then the partying and celebrating is great.
Then
and
it gets going.
Yeah. Then you find that next gear. But
you can always find it.
That was kind of my feel off that experience. And yeah, but there wasn't a lot of thinking. It was a lot of just doing, and your mind is so hockey oriented and performance based. And I'd like to feel that again and with added experience.
You said a great word there, and it's proud. And I don't hear it enough in the hockey community of, you know, guys saying that they're proud of themselves and their effort. I don't think us hockey players give ourselves enough credit for some of the things we go through. Talk about being proud of yourself at the end of that run, and you know, recognizing what you had to put in individually to get to where you were.
Yeah. I'm proud. I'm definitely proud. It's tough because it's just ongoing, right? Like you can't get too far one way. You can't let your head get too big because you have to stay focused, and there's still more to do. And that's how I feel. And I think the proudest moments are, for example, from that cup run, it's just bringing my family together and just being able to enjoy and look past whatever it may be and enjoy just the time, the moment, and just making people proud of who have, you know, coached me or helped me train and got me to this position. I think it's allowed me to show my appreciation for them through you know, some results and some just pulling them aside or having private conversations of thank you. And I'm very proud that I'm able to do that. And you know, maybe one day when you really sit down and are able to reflect, I don't know, maybe not. You just, because life just keeps going on, you know, and
never stops, buddy.
And I just feel like it's every year I want to be at my best and be the best goalie in the world. And and it's ongoing. So it's part of the hustle, I think, is that as an athlete. And but when you break it down, I am, and I'm grateful that I'm able to feel that truly.
Who handed you the cup? Do you remember?
I think it was Pareko.
Oh, that's unreal. So you're pretty early.
And I gave, because I was waiting for Jake Allen to go. And then he kind of like grabbed me. He's like, go do it.
Oh, he was just like, you go first kind of thing?
Yeah. And then so then I was like, okay. And then I did it. I got it. And then.
What was that? Tell me about that, man. 32 pounds or whatever it is. Like.
Yeah.
Over your head.
Heavier than I thought.
Really?
Initially, yeah. And then, you want to get the kiss down, and you want to feel that rush. And then I actually got to give it, going back in our conversation, to Joel Edmondson, who was my buddy. I got drafted with, one of my really close buddies. And so that was special too. And then, it was a very, very special and memorable experience.
Yeah. And then you got the fam on the ice and stuff after, right?
I got my dad to lift the cup, which I don't know if you're supposed to do that, but
whatever.
At that point, that moment in time, we were kind of free for all in, but just seeing the emotion on his face and how excited he was that's
unreal. I can only imagine just what you went through and the journey it took to get there. And I think the two words you can summarize it with were what I heard you had on your shirts at your cup party downtown. I think it said F everybody, right?
Yeah, it was Feddy, which I think I should have pursued. Fedy. Okay. Fuck everyone, do you? But we didn't end up doing that. I still have a bunch of those shirts, and I have a visor. So if you're,
throw it on one day.
If you're at the pool party.
Is that kind of your mentality though? Like it's kind of you versus the world. Do you have that, or is that just like
it was? And then that's what kind of happened a couple of years ago. I was, I've talked about it before, but I felt like I was climbing this mountain, and then I accomplished a lot of what I wanted to accomplish. And then I did that through a lot of anger in my mind of proving people wrong, and a little bit of an attitude, and in my own head. On the outside, whatever. And then I was like, I'm not angry anymore. I have to somehow shift this. And then it was 2 years ago, where I wasn't playing very much, and I had a kind of time to reset, and I needed the time to find myself, find my motivation, and find that clarity, and put in a lot of work to catch up to where I want to be. And I started playing the game with love, and embracing and appreciating, even if the fans are booing us, like it's all great to me. It's such a cool thing to be in the NHL, and I'm so grateful to be able to compete and just train and prepare for great moments and opportunities. And obviously there's still a little bit of anger in my game, but
it's all right.
But I realized I want to still have that, and it's ongoing. It's ongoing.
And I'm guessing that your previous year is going to work as a bit of a motivator coming in here to next year. Your team's in a little bit of we called it transition before, but where do you go from here with you and the Blues? What does the future look like for you guys here?
I think we all felt that last year, a little bit of a call what you want it, just a wake up, or this has to be better. We expect better of ourselves. And so I think, and I hope, and I feel that we have a motivated group, and, we're all talking, and we all feel the same way of just preparing, and we're not going to be playing this game forever. So just do our best and bring success to the city of St. Louis. They for sure deserve it. They're great people, great fans. The organization's great. The owners treat us very well. And let's just go do our job, handle business, and we can move quietly. It's all good.
Well, man, like you said, don't you dare take it for granted, because it's the best damn job in the world. I think it happened so fast for me. 4 years went by so fast that I didn't have too much time to reflect on it. But I try to tell guys all the time, even when I'm sitting here talking with you, like, man, even conversations like this, just getting to sit here and talking to guys like you make me happy, because it's a lot of that interaction that I missed. Like, I don't miss fighting. I don't miss fighting Brian McGrattan on a Saturday night and getting my head pounded in, but I miss talking about it with my buddy on the bus or the plane after. And yeah, don't you dare take it for granted.
And it's good hearing that, to, you know, for us and for guys who are still playing. And then we say it to younger guys, like we said, we lost a couple, you know, veterans who have done so much for the team and each individual. It's good to be reminded of that, and we won't. And, you know, you're such a special guy that everyone truly loves and has only positive things to say. So it's people you meet like that through hockey, where, you know, we met through summer training and then having a couple around the city or whatever, just bonding at the gym. And it's truly great. So hockey's a beautiful thing.
Really is, man. Well, I know you're training, and I know summers are crazy. So from the bottom of my heart, man, I truly appreciate you coming in here, giving me the time. Good luck next year, man. I've nothing but positive things for the Blues. I really like your guys' squad, and I feel like it's going up. And man, if they have you in net, anything can happen, right?
Yeah,
so
we'll
good
get
luck, buddy. Best of luck along the way.
Okay.
And thanks again, man.
Yeah, man. That was great.